Okay, welcome everyone to this deep dive.
Hello. Yeah, today we're looking at a really compelling source, one that directly challenges, well, the history of science most of us probably learned.
It really does. It puts forward a pretty strong claim, arguing that, core parts of our modern science, especially maths, algorithms, they're built on a legacy that wasn't just missed, but maybe actively hidden.
That's the core of it. We're digging into an article called The Silenced Equation, Reclaiming Turkic Scientific Heritage.
Right.
And its whole mission really is to unpack these claims about intellectual theft and the erasure of Turkic contributions.
And to think about what that means for the history we thought we knew and, well, just how important naming things and giving credit really is in the world of knowledge.
Exactly. So this deep dive is all about understanding the article's specific arguments.
Okay, let's get into it then. The article doesn't pull any punches right from the start. It calls this the scientific crime of the century.
Yeah, strong words. How the West expropriated Turkic knowledge and erased the true authors of human advancement. That's the subtitle, setting the tone.
So first it sort of lays out the traditional story, right? The one we usually hear.
Mm-hmm. It outlines that common narrative. Math basically from the Greeks, algebra from Arabs, zero from India, computers from the British, like Turing. It paints this picture of knowledge flowing mainly from these sort of established, often European or European-defined sources.
But then the article just flips that script immediately.
Completely. It argues the real foundations for math, for thinking in algorithms, theoretical models. Even the early scientific method didn't spring up primarily in Europe.
Where then?
It points to a Turkic scientific civilization.
Yeah.
Places like Khorazm, Bukhara, Samarkand, Fergana. That's where it argues the groundwork was really laid.
And crucially, the article insists this isn't just like a simple mistake in the history book.
No, it calls it systemic. Systemic intellectual theft and a deliberate erasure.
Okay, so let's talk specifics. The article uses this idea of the silenced equation.
Right, the quadratic formula. X plus bx plus c is a0. Most of us learned it in school, how to solve it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Barely. Well, the article's point is this. Everyone learns the how, but almost nobody learns the who. Meaning it's just presented as the quadratic equation. It's anonymous, like it just appeared out of thin air, a kind of timeless truth.
And the article contrasts that with
how we usually treat major Western scientific discoveries. Think Newton's laws, Pythagoras' theorem, Einstein's relativity, the Turing machine.
Right, they're always linked to a name.
Exactly. The name is fused with the discovery. It cements their legacy. But the quadratic equation, anonymous.
So who does the article say should be linked to it?
Al-Khwarizmi. The source argues he was the first to really systematize this equation, and in doing so laid down the bedrock for algebra and, importantly, algorithmic logic.
And that name, Khwarizmi.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar somehow.
It should. The article points out the word algorithm itself comes directly from his name, or rather its Latinized form, algorithmi.
Wow, okay, that's the direct link.
It is, and that's what the article finds so striking. You have this clear linguistic tie, yet Al-Khwarizmi himself, largely unknown to the public.
And his origin.
His region, Khwarazm, often just a footnote, if mentioned at all in science history. And his identity, which the article specifically identifies as Turkic, it argues, is either erased or kind of blurred, while the concept, the algorithm, lives on, but detached, anonymous.
So the article's interpretation is that this isn't just forgetfulness, it's a strategy.
An intellectual power strategy, yeah. That's the term it uses.
How would that work?
Well, the argument goes like this. Naming controls the narrative. Deciding who gets authorship shapes collective memory. And erasing the originators, well, that helps dominate how we even think about where knowledge comes from, epistemology.
So controlling the name controls the story.
Basically, keep the useful stuff, the knowledge, the tool.
But hide the creator. Cut it off from its roots.
Exactly. Disconnect it from its history, its culture.
Does he give other examples of this beyond Al-Khwarizmi?
It does. It talks about other major Turkic scholars figures like Ibn Sina, Al-Farghani, Al-Biruni.
Okay.
And the article claims that Western history often lumps them together, maybe as Arab scientists or generally Islamic thinkers.
And the problem with that, according to the source,
it argues that classification is often just wrong, factually and culturally. It says it acts to systematically anonymize their specific Turkic identity and ignore the unique intellectual environment, the Turkic milieu, where they actually worked.
That definitely makes you think about labels and how they shape our understanding of, well, who did what and where.
It really does. And, the source doesn't just leave this in the past,
It brings it up to today.
right into the